Hello and everyone, welcome to St John's Crawley. Wherever we are gathering today, wherever we're meeting, we are still one church. My name's Lape and I've been attending this church since last year, October.
And my name's Jonathan and I've also been attending this church for just about 2 years now, I think. And I lead the creative team here at St John's.
I'm not particularly on a team here at St John's, but I like to get involved as much as I can. And here in Crawley, I work as a therapist with the YMCA.
Now, for us here at St John's, we are part of the HTB network, which has a really big vision, which is looking to evangelise the nation, revitalise the church and transform society.
And for us here in Crawley, that means we love Jesus, we love church, we love people, and we love Crawley. So, yeah, how's your week been, Jonathan?
Yeah, it's been quite a sunny one. I've been on a beach in Barbados, really, just taking in the tan. Got back late last night, so I'm pretty tired right now.
Well, all right for some. I've been enjoying the sunny streets of Crawley and really happy to be here. Yeah. So today, what are we thinking about our focus?
So we'll be looking at Love Your Neighbour. But before we go into that kind of stuff, we're in a period of resting here at St John's, which is why they've brought in the B team. The team are not here, they've got the B team in to do it. And here at St John's, we love a good old buzzword. And we love buzzwords that we can all stick together, which start with the same name as well. The same letter, sorry. So we're looking to rest, reflect, restore and reset during the period of August. So we really encourage you as well at home or at work or wherever you may be during this time to also meaningfully press into having some sort of restorative time with the Lord.
And in addition, we also really want to focus on loving people. So we're encouraging you to think about 3 people that you can pray for to come to Alpha, to come and do the marriage course, or to come here to church. So maybe just over August, just be thinking and praying to God about who those people may be.
And also just to remind you that Kids Church and Youth is still taking place online during this period of rest. So you can find the Kids Church slots on our YouTube channel, the same place where you're watching this, at youtube.com/St John's Crawley.
They're definitely recommended. Recently, we've been looking at Jonah. So, yeah, good refresh on a Bible story, but really, really exciting and engaging for you to keep your children pressing into God during the time of August.
And as Lape mentioned a bit earlier on, we are looking at Love Your Neighbour this Sunday. And here's a little video to tell us a bit more about that.
Hello everybody, my name's Liz and I'm speaking to Steph, who comes to the 6th St John's and is a volunteer for Love Your Neighbour. How long have you been a volunteer?
Since the beginning of lockdown.
And what kind of things have you been doing?
Delivering pies to people, doing food shopping for those in need. And one elderly lady specifically, I deliver to her every Friday. Making sandwiches for the homeless.
Brilliant. And you've also delivered frozen meals to a few families who've been really in need.
Yeah, some frozen meals. To single mums and families in need and things like that.
And how have you found it?
Really good, actually. Yeah, really enjoyable. It's been nice for me to get out of the house as well, and also to help people, really.
Yeah, brilliant. And what kind of response have you got from those people that you've helped?
Really good, actually. One elderly lady bought me a really big bunch of flowers, which was beautiful.
Fantastic.
I've had one single mum in tears, crying her eyes out. Really, really grateful and really happy for a frozen meal delivery. It's really rewarding.
Yeah. And that lady that bought you flowers, that's the lady that you've shopped for virtually throughout the entire time of lockdown.
She's become
Friday.
A friend a bit. Yeah.
That's amazing.
We have a chat for 10 minutes after the delivery as well. So I was just with her actually.
Oh right, that's where you've come from.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. And I believe she's even done some knitting.
Yeah.
She's knitted some squares or something for blankets for Anne at St John's, which is amazing. So what would you say to someone who is thinking about whether they should volunteer for Love Your Neighbour?
Definitely go for it. Go for it. You get a lot of support from Liz as well and the church, and you're not on your own, and you can make some good friends as well doing it, like me with the elderly lady, and it's really rewarding. And we've got closer, haven't we?
Yeah, we've
every
had some
Friday.
great conversations. So it's just a win-win.
It's been great.
So and even if you can only volunteer an hour a month, it's so worth it. And there's such a variety of things to do and help with. It's really worthwhile.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Steph, for your time.
No problem.
And where are you off to now?
Home.
For a well-deserved cup of tea.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't that a fantastic video? It's so great to see how Love Your Neighbour is really impacting people here in Crawley. And if you'd like to get involved in Love Your Neighbour, you can do so in 3 ways: by becoming a volunteer, by praying, or by giving financially. And you can find out more details about that by going to stjohnscrawley.com/loveyourneighbour.
Great. And now we're going to take some time just in worshiping God through song and music. So I'm just praying in this time that you really connect with God. Just be open wherever you are to what the Spirit may want to do, and just worship with all of you.
I am a city on a hill. I am a light in the darkness. Jesus living in me could change the world. I am a city on a hill. I am a light in the darkness. Jesus living in me love is like the wildest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. Creation calls, call to the Savior. We are alive for your praise. In earth and sky, no one is higher. Our God of wonders, you reign. Our God of wonders, you reign. You are the Lord Almighty, outshining all the stars in glory. Your love is like the wildest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. You are the Lord, you are the Lord Almighty, outshining all the stars in glory. Your love is like the wildest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. Not to us, but to your name, we lift up, oh praise. Not to us, but to your name, we lift up, oh praise. Not to us, but to your name, we lift up, oh praise. Not to us, but to your name, we lift up, oh praise. You are the Lord Almighty, outshining all the stars in glory. Your love is like the wildest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. You are the Lord, you are the Lord Almighty, outshining all the stars in glory. Your love is like the wildest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest nights. You are close like no other. sings my soul. Then sings my soul. Then sings my soul. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you, I worship you. 'Cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. And you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you, I worship you. And you are here, turning lives around. I worship you, I worship you. And you are here, mending every heart. I worship you, I worship you. 'Cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. And that is who you are. 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 And that is who you are. 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 Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop. 'Cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light
excited to be with Bob Goff. We were hoping that Bob would be at the leadership conference, which we postponed till next year. But Bob Goff is so many things. As a lawyer for 25 years, he is the New York Times bestselling author of this book, which I highly recommend, Love Does. I've got a very early copy of this. And one of the things I'm going to ask him about is he gives away his telephone number in this book, and it's sold well over 1 million copies. And his latest book, Dream Big, is already number 3 in the New York Times this week. And together with that, he runs a human rights organization. He's a consul for Uganda and so many other things. But I don't want to waste any more time in the introduction because he's here. So, Bob, tell us about I want to hear about all your life. So, I mean, you were a lawyer for 25 years, but it's almost by accident that you ended up as a lawyer, didn't you?
Yeah, I really wanted to be a youth minister with this organization. And when I applied, they said, you have to raise all your support. So I did. And when I had all the money, I said, so can I do it? And they said, no. I think they didn't think I'd be very good with people. So I went to law school. I'm like, why not? And so my real ambition, Nikki, has always been to be available. Just look at the way Jesus was available to people all the time. And we have a great way to do that now. So when I wrote that book, I thought, let me put my cell phone on the last page of every book I write. I get 100 calls a day. It's awesome. I can't get a thing done. I got my first call at 4:00 this morning in this really groggy voice. I'm like, hello. But there's something about that. Like you can't decide where you'll be born. You can't decide so many things, how tall you'll be, but you can decide how available you'll be. And it's not for everybody, but I just know that that's what Jesus did. He got more and more available as time went by. And I think that's what you're doing. That's why HTB has been so important to me. You were available to me in ways before we even became friends. I don't know if you even knew that, but you were where we started a thing with our kids, and it was started on a Christmas Eve service at HTB.
That was when what started?
We started this thing. We wrote to every world leader on earth. We just wrote them a letter from our kids, and because it seemed like the world was losing its mind. And so we said, would you like to come over for a sleepover? Because this was written by my kids at the time. And if you can't come over the sleepover, can we come over to your house and ask you this? What's your hope in? And there's something beautiful about that. We sent out the letters all around the world, and we got 29 yeses. And so we just pulled the kids out of school. Our first stop was London. Our first stop in London, it was Christmas Eve, HTB.
I mean, that was an extraordinary thing, wasn't it? 29 presidents and kings said yes.
Is that crazy?
And interviewed them. I mean,
yes.
Just say some of the people that you saw.
Oh, we started with, there was a guy that Tun Mahathir was the prime minister, the leader of Malaysia for so many years. And we had just met with the president of Israel. And this is the kids. These guys don't want to meet with me.
This is the guy who was saying yes to your children's letters. And then you went.
They just sent a letter. I'm telling you, if you're listening, write the letter. And so we asked the president of Israel, what made you say yes? And he said, I was flying back from Europe and we had the mail, and my chief of staff opened this up and said, there are 3 children in San Diego that have written and said, would you do an interview with them? And he said, if they'll come to Jerusalem, I'll meet with them. And I think that sometimes we think that people are unavailable to us who are actually available to us. And the same applies with faith. Sometimes it feels like God is far away and he's just waiting for you to just call out his name. And so when Mahathir had the World Islamic Conference, and he said 2 things, death to Israel and death to America. And so our kids wrote and said, hey, we've got a message of hope from the guy from Israel. Can we come and give it to you? And Mahathir said, yes. So we sold the pickup truck and we went.
And I mean, the way you ran your law firm was a very different way from most people who run their law firm.
That's awesome. Yes, our law firm went for 1 year at a time. It had an agreement. If you get a bunch of lawyers, could you imagine how big the agreement would be? It was 2 paragraphs. It says, it's my law firm, and it's all over December 31st. And we dissolved that law firm every time December 31st came. So we did that for a quarter of a century.
But you also had a resignation letter that you wrote.
Yes. Listen to this. Every single job on my first day, I write my resignation letter. It would just say 2 words, I quit. I'd put a stamp on it. I'd address it to my new boss, and I'd give it to my wife, Sweet Maria. And I told her, if this job ever gets between me and you, or me and Jesus, you mail that thing in. You don't even need to tell me. I'll find out. And there's something beautiful. You might be listening, and you might have a job that was the perfect job 3 jobs ago, but you've changed. You're a new creation.
When everyone thinks of Bob Goff, they think of love. And this book, Love Does, is all about love. But one of the things about it was that you made an agreement with the publishers that the royalties, even that the royalties up front, were going to be given to a school.
Yeah, I traded them. They said, would you write a book? I said, I don't know. Will you build a school? I'll trade you. And so when we built the school in Uganda, evidently a lot of books got sold. So then we built our next school in Mogadishu, Somalia, and our next one in Iraq. What we've been working on the last 2 years, Nikki, we started a school in Afghanistan for little girls that the Taliban won't allow to learn how to read and write. And that just chapped me. And so we started a school where we teach little girls how to read and write. So every couple months, we're back there visiting. But there's something beautiful about this. I don't think Jesus wants us to go across the ocean. I think he's dazzled when we go across the street. Love your neighbor, like right where you are.
And you say, I mean, I love the way you say that's not a metaphor. That's it's your literal neighbor. It is your neighbor.
Literally your neighbor, the one there and there and there. And the creepy thing is some of our neighbors are actually kind of difficult. I don't know about yours, but mine are a little difficult. But here's the deal. What I'm learning, I'm a little difficult. I'm not for everybody. And if you're listening, you're not either. You are not as lovely as you think you are. But that's where this idea of faith comes in, to say, Jesus, would you take all the rough parts of Bob Goff, and would you use me right here in my community to do something beautiful that I couldn't have done myself? Paul talks in Philippians 2:20. He says, this guy, Timothy, he takes a genuine interest in the people around him. I think that's what we need as new creations. We could just take a genuine interest, and we're going to find what we're looking for. If we're looking for people that need a hug, don't give them one, but find something to do that could meet a need.
And as a result of your work in Uganda, you became
Isn't that awesome? I know I'm not the U.S. Diplomat to Uganda. I'm the Ugandan diplomat to the U.S. I walk into embassies. They're like, where's the Ugandan guy? I'm like, I'm the Ugandan guy. And there's something beautiful about seeing a country that's just emerged from decades-long civil war and just made tremendous strides forward. So we're really enjoying just trying to be helpful.
And one of the things I know that you do is every Thursday, you give something up, don't you?
I quit something. We call it Quit Thursday. And so every Thursday, I'm like great at accumulating things. I don't know about you. I see lots of books you've accumulated in the back of your pictures.
I know, I need to get rid of them.
Yeah, I've accumulated surfboards, like I'm in California. So one of the things that's it's easy to do is to accumulate things. What I want to do is let them go. So each Thursday, I just let one thing go. I've got a thing, I don't know if you know this about me. I'm a little quirky, as you probably picked up, but I have no left pockets in any of my clothes. So I have right pockets in my jeans, no left pockets. I cut them all out. And it's a reminder to me that there's things you're going to hang on to and things you're going to let go of. And what I'm trying to do is quit some things, take some things that I've been carrying around in my right pocket and move them to my left pocket.
I mean, I love so many things about you, Bob. But one of the things I love you is that you talk a lot about failure. I think, in fact, you lecture on how to fail, don't you, somewhere?
Oh, heck yeah. I teach a class at Pepperdine Law School, which is one of our good law schools here in the United States. But I also teach a class at San Quentin Penitentiary, which is a really difficult place to be. And I've got several hundred felons in my class, and we just talk about failure. And there's something beautiful about the authenticity that comes along with just getting real. And I think what God never had problems with people who had a setback. What he had a problem with is people that were faking it. And they were acting like they've got it together. And I just want to get super real. And these guys are actually my teacher. I don't go there to teach. I go there to learn. And we talk about people who get things off their chest. We were actually in the prison yard and they're pumping iron. And we were talking about, like, if I was doing that, I'd have the bar across my chest. But I said, what's something you need to get off your chest? And we went around to each guy. The average sentence unserved for these guys, 107 years apiece. And so to the guy next to me, he said, I got something to get off my chest. I've been in here for 20 years and I've been telling everybody I got framed. I didn't do it. And he paused a second. He said, I did it. And I'm telling you, Nikki, he was the freest guy I've ever met in that moment. If we could just get these things off our chest, move it from your right pocket to your left pocket, quit Thursday. And you got some stuff going on in your life you shouldn't be into, don't wait till Thursday.
One of the things where you've had disappointment is, I know you have this amazing place where you bring people together, a kind of retreat house, and you spend a lot of time building it, and then it burnt down, didn't it? Or something happened to it?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, we had some painters out there. This immense lodge, 10,000 square miles away from the nearest anybody in Canada. It took me 20 years to build, and we had some painters up there. They got their cloths that were covered in stain. They put them in a pile, spontaneously combusted. It was gone in 20 minutes. And I think for all of us, we've experienced that. It wasn't necessarily a house that burnt down. It might be a relationship. It might be a hope, a career. It might be one of your kids, somebody in your community that you love. And we each have to decide, so what are we going to do next? When we face a setback, what do we do next? And so we decided as a family that we were going to rebuild it. So I bought a big crane. I just started swinging logs.
It's interesting how you deal with critics too, because anyone who's got as high a profile as you now have through your books and through your social media profile, which you're brilliant at, you're going to have a lot of out there. There's some pretty sort of hostile people, but you have an interesting way of dealing with hostile people, of approaching them, thinking about it.
Yeah, if I ever get a tweet or something that somebody is a little bit on edge, I just figured they're probably working on their people skills a little bit. But what I'll do is I'll make myself their student. I'll go into their feed and read something to let them try to teach me something before I block them. It's like a going away party. But what if we, instead of feeling like we need to outshout the next person, what it does is it caused me to go back to scripture to say, hey, am I right on this thing? I'm off all the time. And it's usually just a small increment of a change in your marriage, in your relationships, in your faith. It's about a quarter of a twist that'll get you there.
So you care passionately about issues of justice and you do something about them. So say a little bit about that. Why do you feel so passionately about justice issues?
I think we're just hardwired from the factory to want justice. I think everybody has that deep desire. You know what it feels like when somebody is unfair to you, and that is pinging something within each of us. So what I just decided is use what I'm good at. I'm a lawyer, so I thought, let's go. We tried the first death penalty case in Uganda against a witch doctor who sacrificed children, which is really creepy stuff. But I just feel like I don't want to circulate a petition. I actually want to stop. There's no love without justice, but there's no justice without love.
Yeah. And right now with the George Floyd murder and so on, what are you seeing happening in the US?
People are raising their voices, as we've all seen on the news, and appropriately so. to have a passion and to say, this is not happening anymore. But I don't think that it's binary.
You talked a lot about faith as we've been talking. Just say what difference has faith made for you in your life? And how did you find faith, and what difference has that faith made?
What I'm trying to do, Nikki, is plant a vineyard. Because I've just been reading about it my whole life. I don't know anything about grapes, but what I needed to do is clear the brush first. And so I have this brushing machine, and I clear all the brush away. You know what's under the brush? The rattlesnakes. And I found a couple. Well, one of the things about faith is it helped me kind of clear the brush in my life, some of the distractions, some of the things. And God uses really imperfect people to bring us to faith. Well, I was moving my excavator underneath an oak tree. You know what I hit? A beehive. 10,000 bees yesterday landed on the top of my excavator with me in it. You know what? There was a door, and I shut the door. And while all the bees are going crazy, wanting to sting me, I'm on the inside. And what faith also taught me is things that I could shut the door to. I could just say, you know what? I'm just not going to be doing those things. God didn't die on a cross so we'd behave better. He came so we could have the opportunity to shut the door to some things and open the door to others. What will happen if we clear a little brush in our life? I wonder what we'll find underneath. You'll find some scary stuff, but you're also going to find some good stuff.
Brilliant, Bob. Thank you so much. Really
blessings on you and your family. Jesus be over each one. And just so grateful for the larger church family there too. You guys stick together. You are bright lights in our life. We are watching you as you guys lead with love, and we're learning a lot.
Bob Goff, thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Naomi, and I'm on the leadership team here at Hackney Church in East London. And today I want to talk to you about the power of the invitation. I feel so inspired after listening to Nikki's interview with Bob Goff. It's such a good talk. I watched the whole thing with a notepad, 3 pens, a whole box of highlighters. I just wanted to glean every bit of gold that I could. Because if I'm honest, this past season has sent a fair few challenges our ways. Whether it's the lockdown or the economy, whether it's suddenly becoming a teacher on top of your day job, or holding uncomfortable conversations around race and inequality. If you've got to this point in the year and you're also feeling a bit out of breath or in need of a really long nap, please know that you are not alone. This has been a really full-on season. Speaking personally, I lost my grandma right at the beginning of the lockdown. And it's safe to say that she was my best friend. Like many West Indian children, she was pretty much a third parent. My grandma was really naughty and she had the best sense of humour. But alongside that playfulness, my grandma Tapper personified hospitality. Her door was always open. There was always food for when a visitor turned up unexpectedly. Always a prayer before they left, having shared their burdens with her, knowing that she would listen and not judge. And as grandchildren, we saw it all. Single mothers, recovering addicts, adults with additional needs. Everyone was welcome at her table. And everyone knew that Grandma Tapper would talk with you and cuddle you and pray for you. And there was no way that you could leave her house without feeling different. And whilst I'm only able to recognize it now as an adult, she was so intentional about assuring her grandchildren that they were enough and that they had value and worth. It reminds me just how much it is a blessing to receive love like that, but also to be able to give it away. Because as life got rocky, my grandma was the steadiest foundation. After feeling burnt out during my studies, it wasn't home that I went back to, it was my grandma's. After trying to flesh out a faith of my own, and not one just borrowed from my parents, it was my grandma who handed me a Bible and a pen and set me loose. And after sensing a call to ministry, it was my grandma who playfully took the credit and said that it was her pious example that had drawn me into church leadership, even if I didn't know that myself. You see, I learned how to show and receive love from the woman who demonstrated it unconditionally, who showed me the true power of invitation, one that invites you into relationship, into acceptance, and into recognizing your value. So often in life, we just need someone to extend an invitation, to invite us, to show us what God's love can really look like in practice. And whilst we can't all have a Grandma Tapper, I've got good news for you. God's love is an even bigger invitation, and he's inviting us into it today, however we may be feeling. One of my favourite stories in the Gospels is the story of Zacchaeus. It's one of those stories that we all kind of know how it goes. You learn about it in Sunday school. I even had a puzzle of it as a child. But there's a reason that it's so popular. It's full of gold when it comes to the power of the invitation. Let's take a look at the story together. The passage is found in Luke 19, verses 1 to 10. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house." So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter, "He has gone to be the guest of a sinner." But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount." Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost." What a story. I love that this happened as Jesus was passing through. That this wasn't something on the schedule or the agenda, but that he slowed down enough to notice someone who'd been shunned and was an outcast. Now, I don't know what your first reaction to Zacchaeus might have been, but mine definitely wouldn't have been hospitality. I feel like I would have been much quicker to judge than to break bread with this wealthy tax collector. But that's where I love Jesus. You see, Zacchaeus, or Zacchaeus, means pure and innocent in Hebrew. And yet he'd managed to fall so far from the person that God had made him to be. But rather than condemnation, what Zacchaeus needed was for someone to demonstrate love to him. For someone to see through the cracks, through the bad habits, and through those bad actions, straight to the heart of who he had been made to be. So as Jesus called out to him, inviting him into relationship, he also called out the gold within him. For he could see who Zacchaeus was and all that he was capable of. And in that moment, Zacchaeus' true identity and purpose were catalyzed as this man who had been bound by money and greed was liberated to give it all away for the service of others. We might feel like Zacchaeus, like our pasts have made us unworthy, or that they're a bit complicated, to say the least. But God is calling you into relationship with him. And he's asking whether you'll invite others in too, whether you'll be inclusive. Because that's what love does. It pursues us. It changes us. It says that we get to be a part of the story, that we can respond to the love of Jesus. And you may never know the impact that showing such love can have, especially for those who truly struggle to see value within themselves. If you had told me at 18 that I'd become a church leader, I would have laughed at you for like a good half hour. You see, there was no way that I could have seen anything of that level of value within myself. It took women like my grandma. It took being in church community and around healthy leaders. And ultimately, it took the goodness of God working through relationship and through the Spirit for me to even get to a place where I could accept this calling. In the example that those people gave me, in their affection and their warmth, and ultimately their invitation, propelled me into a life of faith and into imagining what ministry could look like, and why it was so vital that we see those around us and point them to the person of Jesus. That we point them to the one who repairs, to the one who restores, to the one who says, "I must have dinner with you. I want your time and your company." Wherever you are watching this from, I wonder who might be right in front of you that really needs to be seen. Who have you accidentally overlooked because that outer shell was a bit rough around the edges, or because their demographic seemed so different from yours? When Jesus looked at Zacchaeus, he saw the true heart within, the desire to glimpse something of God, the willingness to look a fool and climb a tree just to be able to observe God. And as Jesus' invitation began to strip away the shame and stigma of his past, he was empowered to shrug off the old and pick up the new. You see, he wanted to participate. He wanted to help. His heart was completely transformed. When we invite people into our lives, we are inviting them to come along on this journey of faith with us, to learn about Jesus together. If you're new to Christianity, I'd love to encourage you to try Alpha. It's all about having a space to ask the big questions in life. Because when we grasp hold of this invitation, when we offer it to others, everything changes. History gets rewritten, chains get broken, the world is turned upside down as people encounter a love so radical that all they can do is give everything away. There is no doubt in my mind that you can have a lasting impact on the world around you, that you can make a difference. And I believe that today Jesus is calling your name and inviting you onto the greatest adventure of your life. Seize it. It will be the best thing that you ever do. Amen? Amen.
Wow, that's really inspiring talk to hear there from Naomi Maxwell, and really cool, especially to hear from a creative perspective as well, what she's been getting up to.
Yeah, and as we end our service today, just going to pray a blessing over you. So, Father, we just pray a blessing over everyone who's tuned in today, wherever they may be in the world or in this town. We pray that in the week ahead, they will connect with you, really know your peace and your presence until we meet again. Amen.